a median income of $32,500, a median home price that just hit $220,000. Do that math. Go ahead, I'll wait. That's nearly 7 times the annual income for a house in a town where the main employer is citrus farming. This isn't happening in one Florida town. It's happening in 9 of them. And here's what nobody wants to admit. These aren't investment opportunities. They're not hidden gems. They're financial traps disguised as affordable alternatives, and millions of people are walking straight into them because a YouTube video told them Florida still has deals. Spoiler, it doesn't. Not anymore. And if you're sick of watching videos that tell you places are affordable when they're actually pricing out the exact people they're supposed to help, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want housing content that actually tells you the truth instead of recycling 2-year-old data for clicks. Drop a comment telling me if you almost moved to one of these places based on old information, because I genuinely want to know how many people got caught in this. Alright, so here's what you need to understand. You've been lied to. Not maliciously. Most of the people sharing affordable Florida content genuinely believe what they're saying, but they're working from old data, pre-boom pricing, and a fundamental misunderstanding of what affordable actually means in 2025. The core pain is this. You're exhausted from chasing affordability that evaporates the moment you reach for it. You're tired of doing the math and realizing you'd need to make $80,000 a year to afford a town where the median income is $35,000. You're scared you'll never own a home, never build wealth, never escape the rental trap, and every supposed solution just makes you feel more hopeless. So what this video delivers is the truth about 5 Florida towns that were recently called affordable, but have now crossed into genuinely unaffordable territory. Not by coastal standards, by their own economic reality. We're going to break down the real numbers, what people actually earn versus what housing actually costs, why these towns became overpriced traps, and what it reveals about the death of affordable housing in America. Here's the reframe you need. Affordable doesn't mean cheaper than Miami. It means your income can realistically support your housing costs without financial ruin. By that definition, most of affordable Florida is a lie. And understanding why that happened is the first step to making an actual smart decision about where to live. What makes this different? No sponsored links. No real estate affiliate commissions. Just the uncomfortable math and the patterns nobody wants to acknowledge because they kill the dream. The same towns that were promoted as hidden gems just 24 months ago are now pricing out the exact people they were supposed to save. But first, we need to understand what happened. Because this wasn't natural, this was predictable. Here's the cycle. Economic refugees flee expensive cities. Content creators discover cheap towns. Migration accelerates based on old pricing data. Demand spikes in towns with limited housing stock. Prices surge while local wages stay flat. The town becomes unaffordable by its own economic reality. Then a new wave of refugees seeks the next cheap town. The contradiction is this. The very act of calling a place affordable makes it unaffordable. Information spreads faster than housing construction. Virality kills affordability. So if talking about affordable places destroys them, should we just stop? Keep them secret? But then who gets to know? Only people with insider information? There's no good answer here. Let's start with Parrish. Parrish was sold to you as the affordable alternative to Lakewood Ranch. The pitch was simple. Get the same quality homes, same builders, same lifestyle, but pay 25% less. Sounds great, right? Here's what actually happened. In 2021, Parrish had a median home price around $310,000. By 2024, it hit $395,000. By mid-2025, homes were selling for a median of $422,000. That's a 36% increase in 4 years. Now, what's the median household income in Parrish? About $41,000. Let's do that math. A $422,000 home on a $41,000 income is a price-to-income ratio of 10.3. The standard for affordability set by the Department of Housing and Urban Development is 3 to 4 times your annual income. Parrish is more than double that threshold. You literally cannot afford to live there if you work a local job. But here's what makes Parrish particularly cruel. It was marketed specifically as the place where regular families could still afford Florida. Young couples, first-time buyers, people tired of renting, they all moved to Parrish believing they were making a smart financial decision. And now those same people are house poor. Their mortgage payment is eating 60% of their income. They can't afford to turn on the air conditioning in July. They're one car repair away from financial catastrophe. And the people still promoting Parrish as affordable? They're using data from 2023. The damage is already done, but the information hasn't caught up. Parrish isn't affordable. It's a marketing mirage that became a financial trap the moment too many people believed it was real. And if you're thinking about buying there now, ask yourself this. If the median income is $41,000 and the median home is $422,000, who exactly is this town pricing for? Not the people who live and work there. It's pricing for people with outside money. Remote workers from California, retirees cashing out equity from up north, people who can outbid locals because their income isn't tied to the local economy. That's not affordability. That's displacement with a smile and a new construction sign. Next, let's talk about Englewood. Englewood was the quiet coastal town that real estate agents whispered about. Less touristy than Venice, cheaper than Sarasota, beach access without the beach prices. And for a while, that was actually true. As recently as 2023, you could find decent homes in Englewood for $250,000 to $300,000. The median was hovering around $280,000. Fast forward to 2025, and the median home price in Englewood is now between $364,000 and $485,000 depending on which data you trust. Let's split the difference and call it $400,000. The median household income in Englewood? Approximately $52,000. That's a price-to-income ratio of 7.7. Still way above the affordability threshold. And here's the kicker. Englewood is full of retirees on fixed incomes. People who moved there 10, 15 years ago when it actually was affordable. Now their property taxes are going up, their insurance is skyrocketing, and they're getting priced out of the town they retired to. But the real cruelty? Englewood is still being marketed as an affordable Gulf Coast option. I've seen recent articles calling it a budget-friendly beach town. Budget-friendly for who? Certainly not for someone making $52,000 a year trying to buy a $400,000 house while also covering Florida's insurance costs, which in Englewood can run $4,000 to $6,000 annually. Let's talk about what that actually means in practice. Say you buy that $400,000 house in Englewood. With a 10% down payment, that's $40,000 up front. Your mortgage at current rates of around 6.5%, about $2,250 a month. Add property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, and you're looking at $3,000 to $3,200 in total monthly housing costs. To keep that at 30% of your income, which is the standard threshold for not being house poor, you'd need to make roughly $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. The median income in Englewood is $52,000. You see the problem? You would need to make more than double the median income just to afford the median home without being financially crushed. That's not a housing market. That's a trap. And the worst part? People are still buying. They're stretching. They're convincing themselves it'll be fine. They'll make it work. But making it work means no savings, no emergency fund, no buffer for when the air conditioner dies or the roof needs replacing. It means living paycheck to paycheck in a house you supposedly own. Now let's talk about Cape Coral. Cape Coral's story is different, and in some ways it's even worse. Cape Coral became the poster child for Florida's overpriced housing market, literally ranking as the most overvalued housing market in America, according to Florida Atlantic University research. Buyers were paying a 48% premium on homes in 2024. That means a house that should have been worth $250,000 based on historical pricing trends was selling for $370,000. And people paid it. They waived inspections. They bid over asking. They bought into the dream of waterfront living and endless canals and Florida sunshine. Then reality hit. By late 2024 and into 2025, Cape Coral's housing market didn't just cool, it collapsed. Home values dropped 5.6% year over year. The median home price fell from $397,000 in 2023 to $367,000 by October 2025. Homes that people bought for $400,000 were suddenly worth $360,000. That's $40,000 in lost equity in less than 2 years. But here's where it gets truly brutal. 8% of homeowners in Cape Coral are now underwater on their mortgages. That means they owe more than their house is worth. They can't sell without bringing cash to closing. They're trapped. And the median household income in Cape Coral? About $68,000. So you have people who bought $370,000 to $400,000 homes on $68,000 incomes. And now those homes are worth less than they paid while their insurance costs have doubled and their property taxes have gone up. An FGCU professor calculated that you need to make $95,000 to $100,000 a year just to afford the average home in Cape Coral without being house poor. And that's just the mortgage. Add in utilities, insurance, and taxes, and you need to make $115,000 to $120,000. The median income is $68,000. This is a financial disaster hiding in plain sight, and it's affecting thousands of families who thought they were making a smart move. Now, Port St. Lucie. Port St. Lucie was marketed as the smart alternative to Palm Beach prices. You get the same Atlantic coast lifestyle, same weather, but pay way less. Except that way, less has become way too much. The median home price in Port St. Lucie is now $410,000. The median household income, about $56,000. That's a price-to-income ratio of 7.3. Way above affordable. But what makes Port St. Lucie particularly problematic is the insurance situation. High insurance costs and rising taxes have made the St. Lucie area one of the most financially stressful places to own a home in Florida. Insurance premiums are running $5,000 to $8,000 a year for a standard single-family home. That's $400 to $667 a month just for insurance. On top of your mortgage, on top of property taxes. Real estate brokers in the area are openly saying that buyers who are looking for the Florida lifestyle without Palm Beach price tags could find great deals in Port St. Lucie. But let's be real about what that means. Great deals compared to what? Compared to Palm Beach, sure. But that's like saying a luxury car is affordable because it's cheaper than a Rolls-Royce. It's still a luxury car. The real question is, can someone who lives and works in Port St. Lucie afford to buy a house in Port St. Lucie? And the answer for most people is no. Not without financial strain that borders on irresponsible. 30% of listings in Port St. Lucie had price cuts in 2025. That tells you sellers are struggling to find buyers at current prices. The market is correcting, but it's correcting from completely insane to merely unaffordable. That's not progress. That's just a slower form of the same problem. And here's what nobody's talking about. All these towns, Parrish, Englewood, Cape Coral, Port St. Lucie, they were supposed to be the escape valves, the places where regular people could still build wealth through home ownership. The American dream was supposed to still be accessible here, even if it died everywhere else. But what happened? The escape valves got overwhelmed. Too many people fleeing high-cost areas flooded into these towns faster than housing supply could accommodate them. Prices surged, local wages stayed flat, and now the escape valves themselves need escape valves. Let's talk about Northport for a moment, because it follows the exact same pattern. Northport saw explosive growth, with people moving there for relative affordability compared to Sarasota. Home values shot up dramatically during the pandemic boom. But the long-term trajectory created vulnerability. The town saw rapid appreciation that wasn't supported by local income growth. And now it's in the same boat. Prices that made sense for people with outside money, but don't make sense for people who actually live and work there. The pattern across all 5 towns is identical. Price-to-income ratios above 6 times, often above 7 times. Stagnant local wages. Surging housing costs driven by external demand. Infrastructure built for populations half the current size. insurance costs that weren't factored into affordability calculations. These towns aren't affordable. They're just less catastrophically expensive than Miami. But less catastrophic is not the same as achievable. Here's the paradox we created. By telling people about affordable places, we destroyed their affordability. But by not telling people, we'd be gatekeeping survival. There's no good answer here. Every time someone makes a video or writes an article about an affordable Florida town, they contribute to the awareness that drives demand that kills affordability. I'm doing it right now. By making this video, I'm part of the problem. But not making it means people walk into these traps with outdated information, thinking they're making smart financial decisions when they're actually setting themselves up for years of financial stress. So, what do we do with this information? Where does this leave anyone trying to build a life in Florida? Here's the hard truth we need to sit with. This video was really about the death of the just move somewhere cheaper solution. Because there is no somewhere cheaper anymore. Not in Florida. Not in any state people actually want to live in. These towns, they were supposed to be the answer. The places where working class families, retirees on fixed incomes, young people starting out could still build equity and stability. And in 24 months, they've become as financially unreachable as the cities people were fleeing. The pattern isn't just a Florida problem. It's happening in Idaho, Tennessee, Arizona, anywhere people are trying to escape high costs. The escape itself creates the high costs. It's like trying to run away from your shadow. So if you're watching this trying to figure out where to move, here's the only honest advice I can give. Don't trust median home prices. They're lagging indicators. By the time they're published, they're already outdated. By the time you see a town listed as affordable, it probably isn't anymore. Calculate the price-to-income ratio yourself. If you're looking at a town where homes cost more than 4 to 5 times the median household income, you're not looking at an affordable town. You're looking at a town that's affordable for people with outside money. Not locals, not you if you're planning to work a local job. Factor in the hidden costs. Florida insurance isn't a footnote. It's $3,000 to $6,000 per year. That's $250 to $500 added to your monthly housing cost. Gas for commuting if you need to work in a city an hour away. Lack of public transit. These eat the savings alive. Ask yourself who the town is pricing for. If recent home sales are full of cash offers and out-of-state buyers, that town is no longer pricing for people who live and work there. It's pricing for people escaping other markets. You're not competing with locals. You're competing with remote workers from San Francisco and retirees selling million-dollar homes in New Jersey. You will lose that bidding war every time unless you also have outside money. And here's the uncomfortable question. Maybe affordability as we understood it, the idea that somewhere in America regular people can buy a house on regular incomes, is just over. Maybe that era ended and we haven't accepted it yet, so we keep chasing ghosts in smaller and smaller towns until there's nowhere left to run. I don't have a solution to that. I don't think anyone does. The forces at play are bigger than individual choices. Remote work changed everything. It untethered high salaries from high-cost areas, which sounds great until you realize it means high salaries can now drive up prices everywhere. There's no geographic protection anymore, but I think we have to stop pretending that viral lists of cheap towns are helping anyone. They're not. They're accelerating the problem. Every affordable Florida video pushes another wave of people toward towns that can't absorb them, driving prices up faster, pushing locals out quicker, creating the next round of people desperately searching for the next affordable place. It's a cycle with no end. Here's my confession, I'm part of this cycle. By making this video, I'm contributing to the awareness that drives demand that kills affordability. But not making it means people walk into traps with outdated information. There's no winning here, just degrees of honesty. So let me be completely honest. If you're looking at Parrish, Englewood, Cape Coral, Port St. Lucie, or Northport based on articles or videos from 2023 or early 2024 calling them affordable, that information is dangerously outdated. These towns have price-to-income ratios that make homeownership financially irresponsible for anyone earning local median wages. You will be house poor. You will have no financial buffer. One major expense will wreck you. And if you're already living in one of these towns, if you bought in the last 2 years thinking you were getting a deal, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. You made a decision with the information you had, but you need to be realistic about your situation. If you're spending more than 40% of your income on housing, you're in a precarious position. Build an emergency fund if you can. Cut expenses anywhere possible. And seriously consider whether staying is sustainable long-term, especially if insurance and taxes keep rising. For some people, selling while there's still equity might be the smart move, even if it feels like admitting defeat. If this video made you angry, good. It should. We should be angry that working a full-time job in the town you live in no longer means you can afford to live there. We should be angry that the American dream of homeownership has become a luxury good, accessible only to people with family money or six-figure incomes. We should be angry that the system is broken and nobody with the power to fix it seems interested in doing so. But if it made you hopeless, I get it. Hopelessness is a rational response to the situation, but hopelessness doesn't help either. What helps is clear eyes about what's actually happening, so you can make decisions based on reality, not marketing. What helps is understanding that you're not failing. The system is failing you. These aren't personal shortcomings, these are structural problems. If this perspective resonated, if you're tired of clickbait affordability lists that ignore actual wages and real costs, subscribe. I'm trying to create a space where we talk about housing honestly, even when the truth is uncomfortable, even when it kills the dream. Because I'd rather you be disappointed by reality now than financially destroyed by fantasy later. Drop a comment. What's your price to income ratio where you live? Are you priced out of your own town? Let's document what's happening in real time, because the data sure isn't keeping up. And if you know someone being sold on affordable Florida based on 2023 numbers, maybe send them this video. Not to crush their dreams, but to help them avoid a financial trap disguised as an opportunity. Because that's what these 5 towns have become. Traps disguised as opportunities. Beautiful, sunny, palm tree-lined financial traps where your paycheck disappears into a mortgage that's 7 times your annual income, while you convince yourself you're living the Florida dream. Thanks for watching, and I'm sorry the news isn't better. I wish I could tell you there are still hidden gems, still affordable places where regular people can build wealth and stability, but I'm not going to lie to you for clicks. The truth is harder, but it's also the only thing that might actually help you make a decision you won't regret 5 years from now, when you're still struggling to make that mortgage payment work.